sacrifices of thousands of people, of my people, people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. Underline it. I felt that. I felt that day as I have on so many other days that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. Underline it. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. Wrought means achieved or done. Actually, now see, Nelson Mandela was very grateful to those patriots, those black patriots who fought against this cruel system of apartheid. He says that this day means the establishment of new republic or the establishment of new democratic government under the leadership of or headed by Nelson Mandela was formed. And this day was not the day of one day. This did not come. This did not come as a dream. It was a dream. And what was dream? Now the dream came true. It was the dream which came true. And dream, what was dream? His dream was equality, human dignity for everyone. His dream was to set up a society where there is no room for any discrimination. His dream was to set up a government free from all sorts of discrimination. So this dream came true on that day. But this dream did not come automatically. How did this dream come true? Actually, to gain freedom for the people of South Africa, to gain freedom for the blacks of South Africa. So many leaders, so many brave and fearless leaders sacrificed their lives. They sacrificed their lives fighting against this apartheid. So their sacrifices, their sufferings, their pains, their efforts and endeavor all together brought this glorious day. So this glorious day was the outcome of the sacrifices, sufferings, hardships, endeavor and efforts of so many black patriots under the guidance of Nelson Mandela. There were so many freedom fighters before Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela actually he values patriotism. He was a true patriot, and Nelson Mandela is very grateful to those patriots who fought against apartheid. So Nelson Mandela values, he gives much more patriotism and love for his people, higher ever than anything. And he is grateful and he expresses his sincere tribute to those martyrs, to those heroes, to those brave sons and daughters, to those fearless sons and daughters of South Africa who made every possible effort, who effort and endeavor, who sacrificed their lives in order to gain freedom for the people of their own community in South Africa. And he says that this day was the result of the sacrifices, sufferings and struggles of so many true heroes and true warriors of South Africa. Actually, these warriors, these heroes were very brave and they were fearless, they were daunting, and they continued to make their untiring efforts to gain freedom and to put an end to this brutal or inhuman system of apartheid. So he pays his gratefulness, he pays his sincere thanks to those people, to those brave warriors and heroes of South Africa, because of which, as a result of their sacrifices, South Africa today was in position to gain freedom and to abolish apartheid. The policy of apartheid created, he is saying, the policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, that it produced the Oliver Thambos, the Walter Sisselus, the Chief Luthilis, the Yusuf Dadus, the Brian Fishers, the Robert Subuk waves of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, underline it, wisdom and generosity, that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character, underline it. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. Actually, now what he is saying, these are the pictures, these are the images of the great sons, these are the images of the great heroes of South Africa which he has quoted. You can see in the images, he is saying that they struggled very hard to gain freedom, and he says that deep oppressions and atrocities produced such great men, thousands of black patriots. Thousands of black patriots came forward, and they were always ready to sacrifice their lives for the freedom of their fellow men. And this, how did they become brave? How did they become brave and fearless? How did they become courageous? He is saying that the decades of oppression, struggles and suffering. Decades means for a very long time, means a prolonged struggle, their prolonged sacrifices, their prolonged sufferings produced such fearless and great warriors, produced such great men, produced such great heroes of South Africa. So they were the outcome, these brave and great sons or warriors or heroes of South Africa were the products of a prolonged suffering and prolonged oppressive policy, prolonged apartheid prevalent in South Africa. So a prolonged suffering, a prolonged oppression and exploitation gave these warriors, gave an opportunity to these warriors to come forward to fight against for their people. And he's saying such men, these men who has about whom he has quoted now, these men were the people of great courage, wisdom and generosity, means kindness. And he is saying that whatever we are today and whatever South Africa is today, South Africa is free from apartheid, and credit must go to these brave warriors, these brave sons, these brave heroes of South Africa, because they were the people of courage, wisdom and generosity. And at the same time, actually he is expressing his sincere tribute, and at the same time he says, as I have said now, that Mandela values, he gives much more importance to patriotism and love for its people than, even higher than the diamonds. You know, South Africa is very rich in minerals like diamonds, in raw diamonds. But what he is saying the real wealth of a country, the real wealth of a nation is its people. Human resource is the true resource. Human resource is the real wealth of a country. And he believes in the power of the people. He believes in the power of the people. He believes in the potential of the people. He believes in the capacity of the people. He believes in the strength of the people. He said, he agrees, he believes that the real people are the real strength of South Africa, or the people are the real strength of a nation. People are the true strength of a country. And he expresses his sincere tribute to all the people and to all the freedom fighters about whom he has discussed, about whom whose name he has quoted. And he says that this glorious day became possible just because of the sacrifices and suffering of these people who really suffered a lot, but they were so much determined that even such untold hardships, such brutalities, such atrocities could not break their heart, could not dampen their spirit. They remained, they continued their struggle, they continued to move forward without being broken, with lots of patience in their heart, with lots of courage in their hearts, and with lots of with lots of fellow feeling in their heart. They did not bend down, they did not go down, they did not break down. They continued to fight against the inhuman, the harshest, the most cruel and the most oppressive policy of apartheid. They always worked hard for the rights of their people, for the freedom of their people. So he says that I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. So people are the true strength, they are the real strength, they are the real wealth, they are the true wealth of South Africa. They are finer, they are purer than, they are richer even than the diamonds. And you know, South Africa is rich in diamonds, but the real strength of a nation lies in the power of the people. This is what he believes. It is from these comrades in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. Time and again I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking. He is saying, he is quoting, he is praising the sacrifices and hardships of those warriors, of those heroes, of those black patriots, of those freedom fighters. He is saying that actually so many people have sacrificed their lives for gaining freedom for the people of their own country, and they have stood up to attacks and torture. They tolerated every event, every hardship. They faced all sorts of discrimination. They faced all sorts of problems and difficulties, but they did not break down. They did not lose their patience. They continued to move forward, and despite atrocities. There is a word atrocity. Atrocity means cruelty, julm, krurta in Hindi. So despite several atrocities, these people did not bend down, go down, and several atrocities and oppressions and exploitation did not dampen their spirit. They carried on their struggle in order to gain freedom. He says, I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies the imagination. He says, we can't imagine the power of their resilience. We can't imagine the hardships that they underwent. and even though they did not break down. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear. Underline. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Triumph means victory. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. He says that courage is not the absence of fear. Then what is courage? Courage means to conquer over fear, to conquer fear, to come out victorious over fear, to win fear. To win fear is the true meaning of courage. Means if you win fear, you are courageous. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally, underline it, to the human heart than its opposite. Even in the grimmest times in prison, grimmest means darkest or severest or toughest times in prison. When he was in prison, when my comrades means associates or friends in the freedom movement are called comrades, friends, when my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer means sign, shine, sign of humanity in one of the guards, perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. Man's goodness is a flame, blaze of fire. Flame means blaze of fire, law. Underline it. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. Extinguish means blow out, bujha dena. He says that no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin. No one is born a hater. No one is born hater. No one learns the sense of hatred from the womb of his mother. He says love comes to the people more naturally than hatred. So so people should be taught to learn love. People should learn how to love his fellow men. People should not be taught to hate each other, or people should not be taught to hate his fellow beings, to hate their fellow beings. He says that when he was in prison, what happened? That was the darkest time for him. That was the toughest time for Nelson Mandela, when he was kept in prison, when he was put behind the bars. And even though there was a ray of hope there, and he used to have, there was one prison guard, and there was a sign of humanity in the eyes of that prison guard, and this sign of humanity from the eyes of prison guard to continue his fight gave him hope to continue his journey. So altogether I would say that he says that courage means to conquer fear. If you win over fear, that is your true courage. And man is not a born hater. Man should be taught how to love his fellow beings. Men should be taught how to live peacefully. Men should be taught how to live in a friendly manner. Men should be taught to live in a peaceful and friendly coexistence. And this is, if you love someone, you will get love. If you love someone, you will get love in return. And if you spread hatred, you will get hatred in return. So there is no value, there is no importance of hatred in our life. Love should be, everyone should love each other. Love is the natural quality. It is the natural trait of human being. So where there is love, there is progress. Where there is love, there is humanity. Where there is love, there is prosperity. Where there is love, there is prosperity. Where there is love, there is peace. Where there is love, there is humanity. Where there is love, there is human dignity. Means love is the most potent factor in human's life. We can conquer, we can win over anyone, anything by dint of our love. So love is the greatest weapon by which we can kill the crime, or by which we can kill the enemy of hatred. And where there is hatred, there is enmity. So he gives much more importance to love than hatred. Hatred means hate. And he says that this day is the glorious day, and this day was a dream of the black patriots, and most of the black patriots are no more now. Even the credit must be given to them, credit should go to them, because this day would not have come, this dream could not have been a reality without their hardships, without their struggles, without their sufferings, without their sacrifices. So he gives a tribute, he pays his sincere tribute to the true patriots of South Africa who belonged to the black community. My dear student, this is all for today, and I'll teach the rest of the things in my next class. Till then, be happy, be blessed, stay safe. One more thing I would like to share with you all. Feel free to ask me if you have any query. And your online tests are over. I hope whatever I have taught you and whatever other teachers are teaching you or have taught you earlier, I hope you must have understood. So please pay attention to what is being taught by the teachers of your different subjects, or by the respective teachers of the respective subjects. You pay attention to them. This is a very precious time for you. Please don't waste your precious time, because you must know that times once lost can never be regained. Thank you very much. That's all for today. ये कितना का हुआ हो?